Hello everyone and welcome to Golden Nova's First Reacts, where I am not reacting first to things at all. Look, I let my guard down, okay? They released a couple of these promo pack cards a while ago. I reviewed some of them on stream. It was like the DDDs and two of the Magistus cards. So I've seen some of these, and then I wake up this morning and find out that they've done a bit more of a spoiler on a lot more of them, including those cards that I've already talked about. So I'm going to go through a few of them, and by a few I mean all the ones that have been revealed up to this point, to kind of catch up on the latest news. Though I am starting things off with the alt art reveal for Gem Knight Fusion here. This is glorious looking, but does seem to imply that as Diamond is walking off into the great light of beyond, following the other fallen warriors of Terminal World, that they're passing the sword off to Lazuli, or Lazuli, I can never tell those two apart. I'm an expert on this stuff, and I still can't tell those two little runts apart from each other. Especially since we can't see if they have the gem or not. But the point is, it looks like that Gem Knight Diamond is passing along the big fusion sword to carry on the legacy. So I guess Gem Knights will just continue to suffer forward into the future forever, because that's just their lot in life as the bearers of the many cores of Sophia's power. But this is a nice looking card, you know, lore implications aside. It does look very pretty. It does away with the iconic polymerization pose, but it is a little jarring sometimes to see things that are, like, in lore doing the polymerization pose. But anyway, we'll just go ahead and move on to our next one, which is the motor cards. I believe this is another. I believe a lot of these are manga cards, which I love seeing them get imported into the game. They range from very stupid to very overwhelmingly powerful. I believe I have a few motor cards already, but it's not like a super established theme, so I expect these will just be teched in wherever it's funny. First up is Motor Kaiser, level 5 Dark Machine Monster, 2000 attack, 1400 defense. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name once per turn each. You can reveal this card in your hand to immediately after this effect resolves, normal summon a Dark Machine Monster. You can target one monster you control, destroy it, then you can special summon an Engine token, which is a level 1 Earth Machine with 200 attack and defense in attack position. Earth Machine! Okay, so adds an extra normal summon to Dark Machines. You don't necessarily have to field the Motor Kaiser with this, though I presume you would reveal it, summon your Dark Machine of choice, and then try to tribute this over them. But then you need a spare monster to turn into an Engine token, so maybe, we'll see. Extra normal summons, though, you can't ever take them out of contention. That stuff can be bonkers powerful. 2 for 1 Repair Job, normal spell card. You can only use one of the first and second effects of this card's name once per turn, and only once per turn, so these are mutually exclusive. You can banish one Dark Machine monster from your graveyard to special summon one monster from your hand, deck, or graveyard that mentions Engine tokens. If a face-up Dark Machine monster you control is sent to the graveyard while this card is in your graveyard, except by battle, you can banish this card to special summon an Engine token. Well, Dark Machines, you know, Orchest come to mind as one of the strongest themes on that matter, but you have to banish a Dark Machine from your graveyard to even do that, and you're banishing the Orchests to do their thing, so I don't know if that even sees play in that. The second effect just lets you gain a free Engine token for stuff. God, we gotta see if I can pull up the Engine token information here, see if there's anything worth salvaging on this. Next is a Scrap Guard. Scrap Guard! Scrap Support! Scrap Support! You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name once per turn each. First effect, if a face-up machine monster you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can target up to 3 Dark Machine monsters in your graveyard. Special summon them, but change their attack and defense to 0. And you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target one machine monster that you control and destroy it. Huh? What is this theme? I'm so curious. I'm so curious what this theme is all about. Hold on one second. Yu-Gi-Oh! Card. Do we have anything? No, I know we have Engine tokens. I know we do. I know these exist. We're going to search by card text. I'm doing all this off. I'll put it on screen really quickly. Engine token. Okay, we have 3 cards in the game that do Engine token stuff. Okay, check this out. Okay, So we have Fiendish Engine Omega, which I completely overlooked at this card. During your end phase, special summon an engine token, which does line up. So it is the same. It all must come from the same thing then. Once per turn, you can have this card gain 1,000 attack until the end phase. And then if you use that, destroy this card. Okay, so it's a Dark Machine. We could summon that out with 2-for-1 repair job. That's a pretty big monster to get onto the board. Motor Frenzy, if this card is normal or special summoned, or if another machine is normal or special summoned to your field, activate this effect until the end of your opponent's turn. That normal summoned or special summoned monster gains attack equal to half its original defense. Also, its position can't be changed. If this tribute summoned card is sent to the graveyard, make 2 engine tokens. So you can summon that for free, which gives a pretty potentially hefty stat bonus to something. And then Motor Shell, if this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can special summon an engine token. Man. Once again, seems goofy. I don't know if I want to build a deck around it. I don't even know if there's a deck that could run this effectively. A lot of these things make engine tokens, but none of these things feel like engine tokens are a good payoff for anything. What the heck do you use engine tokens for? They're just things! They took the wrong lesson away from Link Area. You can't just make tokens, you gotta do something with them. Okay, moving on to Magistus. Okay, so I did see a couple of these ones. I did see this Crowley here, but just for completionist's sake, it's an 1800 attack, 1000 defense, dark level 4 spellcaster effect monster, Crowley the Gifted of Magistus. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name once per turn. If this card is added to your hand except by drawing it, you can Poplar it, so if this card is normal or special summoned, you can fusion summon a Magistus or invoked fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as material, and if this face-up card is used as fusion material, it can be treated as Alistair the Invoker. So this seems pretty powerful on the face of it, right? Invoked is already stuffed to the gills with powerful fusion monsters. Magistus's fusions are like down to currently what, Ivos? Which Ivos is pretty powerful. But it's only on summon, and it can special summon if added to the hand. And we had a spell card in this that I saw that does special summon this, but it doesn't add it to the hand. Hopefully one of these new cards will help with this and make this more, add to the utility of this, because as is, I'm a little skeptical about how useful this actually is. Did not see this one. Zorua, the Magistus of Victorious Verathragna. Victorious Verathragna. That's a great name. Oh my god. But it's not a synchro. What the heck? All the other alternate forms were like that had the caster. Oh, I guess we already had the synchro version of that because we had the bird, and then we had the Conflagrant Calamity. So actually, yeah, I guess Endymion was the only one that we were missing up to this point. So never mind, we can have an additional fusion version of this one. Okay, I was about to throw hands there. I was really close. Fusion Zorua, level 8 fire spellcaster fusion monster, 2900 attack and defense, requires a Magistus monster and a fusion synchro Xyz or link monster. Once again, we are blessed with super polymerization targets. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. 1, you can target an effect monster your opponent controls or is in the graveyard and equip that effect monster to this card. And 2, when a monster effect is activated as a quick effect, you can send a face-up Magistus monster card you control to the graveyard, negate that effect, then you can destroy one card your opponent controls. Okay, so we can take any effect monster from their grave or that they control. But this second effect only sends face-up Magistus monster cards. So this is like, it's removal, right? Like if they're going to do something funny with a card in their monster in their graveyard, you just scoop it up. You take one of their monsters, scoop it up. And there is like, I think the synchro version has that effect where we keep our opponent from summoning monster types that match monsters equipped to Magistus monsters we control. So if we pair the synchro with the fusion, then we have a way to steal our opponent's cards, and if they're of that monster card type, we can effectively shut off some of their deck. If they're on like a mono extra deck type, even if it's not mono, it can still limit a lot of their choices. So that's nifty, and it's like easy to make. So it's not like I'm not gonna mark it off too much for not being like this incredibly powerful card. Because these two materials, easy, dog easy to summon. Heck, this is a spellcaster fusion. We have magicalized fusion for this nonsense. So this is, don't even have to worry about it. Okay, we saw this last time. Vera Magic Lacrima of Light. This card is always treated as a Magistus and a Witchcrafter card. Quick play spell card. Activate one of these effects, but you can only use each effect of this card's name once per turn. If you control a Magistus or Witchcrafter monster, you can send a spellcaster or spell card from your deck to the graveyard. This helps with the Witchcrafters more so because they all basically have graveyard effects that do stuff, and the Witchcrafter spells bounce back to hand if you control a Witchcrafter during the end phase. And secondly, when your opponent activates a card or effect, you can special summon a Magistus or Witchcrafter monster from your hand or deck. This works well for both of them, because they all have monsters you really want to get summoned out here. This was the effect that we would use to get the new Crowley out onto the board and then trigger the fusion summon. But I'm overall not super jazzed with this. Even though it's a Witchcrafter spell, it will work with some of their on-board cards. A through line for all the Witchcrafter spell cards is that they bounce back to hand. You know, that end phase effect I talked about earlier. This one doesn't have that, so I don't know. We'll see. Maybe it's still got some good utility, but I don't know. Like as a Witchcrafter card, I even care that it's name stamped. Okay, Magic Thor Hammer. I have not seen this one. This is treated as a Magistus and Endymion card. I've read some of the manga up to this point. I don't want to like binge all of it. I didn't want to. I kind of wait for a few chapters and I binge all of it because, ooh. But I've seen these two casting these spells in the manga beforehand, so it's cool that their signature spell is showing up here. Magic Thor Hammer, normal spell card. This is treated as a Magistus and Endymion card. Send one other face-up Magistus card you control to the graveyard, or remove 2 spell counters from your field to activate one of these effects, but you can only use each effect of this card's name once per turn each. Special summon a spellcaster monster from your hand, face-up extra deck or graveyard, or banish one other card on the field. Ooh, okay. Now, I'm not as familiar with the Endymion lineup off the top of my head, so I forget if there is a card that searches Endymion spell cards. But if so, this card is kind of bonkers, actually, right? Like, the special summon a spellcaster from the hand, you never want to be special summoning from the hand. It's much better to pull it from places where, you know, like it's like free resources. But face up extra or graveyard is kind of big. Like, it's a monster reborn that also clues in your pendulum monsters, so you can bring those out. Or you can just do a non-targeting banish of any other card on the field. It's wild. It doesn't even need the spell counters. If you're just in a Magistus deck, you just got this. And I wonder if there's like, I think there's a Magistus spell searcher that could work with this. Okay, I like Thor Hammer infinitely more than Lacrima of Light. This card rules. Okay. Nifty stuff from Magistus. This doesn't make me feel a lot better about it than I did when I looked at it previously. It's still nice additions, but I guess the manga cards are doomed to just be pretty cool, but not necessarily revolutionizing the gameplay. Okay, here's the other one that we saw, DDD. Let's go ahead and the anti-pendulum duelist. Okay, so real quick, let's go over the Xenomorph here. DD Count Surveyor, level 8 Dark Fiend Pendulum Monster, 2000 attack and defense, pendulum scale of 1. Pendulum effect number 1, once per turn, if you pendulum summon a DDD monster, you can target 3 monsters your opponent controls that shares a type or an attribute as each other. Tribute 2 of those face-up monsters, and if you do, the other gains attack and defense equal to the total attack and defense, not original, the tributed monsters had on the field. This is like a weird kind of removal. It effectively condenses 3 monsters into 1. It keeps their attack stats all the same, like that doesn't change. Or rather, the total amount of attack and defense your opponent has stays the same. But now you've gotten rid of 2 monsters, which is not terrible against certain matchups. Of course, your opponent has to have the monsters with the same type or attribute across all 3 of them. But this was kind of like the frosting on top. I remember liking the monster effect. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name once per turn each. Effect number 1, you can discard one other DD monster to special summon this card from your hand. And if this card is normal or special summoned, you can add a DD monster with 0 attack or defense from your deck to your hand. Okay, yeah, so this searches out the, I always forget the silly name, but it's the one that's like a level 1, you normal summon it, you get a dark contract. So it just puts that into your hand. It filters any DD into it, and then you load it into the graveyard. That's big, and you get a free monster on board to do with whatever you want. So I could see Count Surveyor just being a huge card for the theme in that regard, for just upping for effectively turning any other card in your hand into the Pendulum monster plus any dark contract in the game. That seems huge. Scale Surveyor, level 2 Dark Fiend Pendulum, 0 attack, 1000 defense, scale of 9. You can only use the Pendulum effect of this card's name once per turn. Pendulum effect 1, during the standby phase, you can target up to 2 cards in the Pendulum zones, and their Pendulum scales become 0 until the end of this turn. Man, that was really funny because, like, I feel more often than not, if your opponent already has a set Pendulum scale, they'll just try to, like, pop one of them and put a high scale on the other one, and so now you've, like, given them a really good low scale, but I digress. Monster. You can only use the first, second, and third effect of this card's name once per turn. First effect, if you control a DD Pendulum monster card, you can special summon this card from your hand. And note that it says Pendulum monster card, so if you have cards in your Pendulum zones, those count. 2, if this card is normal or special summoned, you can make it become level 4, pretty nifty for Xyz summoning. And 3, if this card is sent to the graveyard or added to the face-up extra deck, you can target a DD Pendulum monster card you control and return it to the hand, so you can reset your scales. Bully for us. If anything, during the standby phase, we could set our own scales to 0-0, put this in, oh, well, I guess if this is going from the Pendulum scale, the face-up extra deck, and bouncing the other one, then we're kind of resetting our entire scale, so I actually don't think we can use that to make our own scales better. Yeah, I don't know what Scale Surveyor is supposed to accomplish here, but, you know, it's a little guy. It's a funny little guy, so maybe that's what the theme is looking for. Next up is DD Extra Surveyor, level 5 Dark Fiend Pendulum monster. This is one that I have not seen. I saw the other two. Got 1000 attack, 0 defense, Pendulum scale of 4. Pendulum effect. You can only use the Pendulum effect of this card's name once per turn. Effect 1. If a face-up monster card your opponent controls is destroyed by a battle or card effect, you can target one DDD monster that you control. Banish 2 cards from your Pendulum zone, and if you do, that target can make a second attack during each battle phase this turn. Okay. So it banishes them, but then our DDD gets, like, to attack twice, and some of them are pretty big, so that could actually be game-ending. Monster. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name once per turn. Effect 1. You can discard this card to add a face-up DD Pendulum monster from your extra deck to your hand. 2. If this card becomes banished, you can banish cards from the top of your opponent's deck equal to the number of face-up Pendulum monsters in your extra deck. Then you can make one DD monster you control gain 200 attack for each card banished by this effect. Okay, so this feeds into this. You banish mill your opponent based on how big your face-up extra is. And it looks like the attack buff is permanent. So if you have 5 in your face-up extra, they mill 5 banish, and then your DD monster gains 1000 attack permanent. Okay. These cards are cute. I only think that Count Surveyor is the one that's going to see any widespread play. As a high-level DD monster, it fits into a lot of fusion recipes that would otherwise require you to play other suboptimal monsters. It enables your gameplay, and then it randomly has a removal effect. This one seems good. Scale Surveyor and Extra Surveyor feel a bit too much while not accomplishing anything coherent. So, you know, fun cards. Don't expect to see a lot out of them. Next up, what is even going on here? New Ice Spellcaster support. Is that for all those, like, Ice counter cards? Guess we'll see. Ice Doll, level 2 water spellcaster effect monster, 800 attack, 1000 defense. You can only use this card's first, second, and third effect once per turn each. You cannot special summon during the turn you activate any of this card's effects except water monsters. You can discard one other water to special summon this card from your hand. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can add a water spellcaster monster from your deck to your hand. If this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can add an Ice Doll Mirror from your deck to your hand. Okay, so you pitch a water to summon it, and because you're sending water monsters to the graveyard to activate a water monster's effect, I wonder what the overlap is between Merlantians and water spellcasters. If so, then we have a card that bridges the gap right here. And then when you link it off, you get an additional card, which is this one, Ice Doll Mirror. Normal spell card, you can only use this card's first and second effect once per turn each. Effect 1, send a water monster from your hand or face-up field to the graveyard to special summon one monster with the same name as a water monster you control from your hand or deck. For the rest of the turn after this card resolves, you cannot special summon monsters except water monsters. And 2, you can banish this card from your graveyard to add an ice doll from your deck or graveyard to your hand. Hey, so it just continues onward and forever. So this is really good for the white fish monsters, right? A lot of them care about having things with the same name on them. So, but it checks the hand. Same monster as you control. It doesn't check any other zone, and I think being in the graveyard helps with a lot of these. But any deck that runs multiples of any water monster, there's no level restriction on here, so that's pretty funky. So any water monster you want to see a second copy of, you can just turn any of your water monsters into it. So that's, I think there's some merit to it. Especially in a deck that's like Merlantian's, right? Where you need like, oh, I need another level 7 material, where am I going to find it? Well, the second Abystius is waiting in your deck right now. Let's go find him. And then you get Ice Doll, so that's pretty neat. Twin Pillars of Ice, quick play spell card. You can only use this card's name's first and second effect once per turn each. First effect special summons 2 Ice Pillar tokens, which are level 4 water aquas with 900 attack and 1200 defense in defense position. For the rest of the turn after this card resolves, you cannot special summon from the extra deck, and you can banish this card from your graveyard to immediately after this effect resolves, normal summon a water monster. Hey, that seems pretty goofy, right? We go to end our opponent's end phase, flip Twin Pillars of Ice, we get 2 tokens, and then it goes back to around to our turn. It doesn't apply the restriction for as long as the token is on the board. It's only for the turn after this card resolves, so you're free to use the tokens for anything, and then you get a free water monster normal summon of anything. You can tribute the tokens for something big. You can get out a thing that's a good, like, engine card with a normal summon. This card seems pretty good. Now, the downside, of course, is that, well, I say downside, right? No, yeah, it's a pretty big downside, because this first effect does not say you cannot special summon from the extra deck except for specific circumstances that might fit into something. It just says do not special summon from the extra deck at all. No. So, I don't know, maybe you play this in like, well, you'd have to do it exactly the way we prescribed earlier. You know, you flip this during your opponent's turn, and then it goes back to your turn and all the restrictions have been lifted, but then that means you're waiting a whole turn cycle to be able to actually use this, and that's just, man. It feels like that's too slow. It's really powerful if it gets off the ground, but I just feel like it's not quite there. It's a shame. These are interesting. These are water spellcaster cards, but there is no water spellcaster deck that I super feel utilizes these cards to their fullest, except for, like, is this like Gishki support? Does this like help Gishki out? I have no clue. Folks, this is what I'm gonna need help with in the comments. If you know what these Ice Doll Ice cards could be used for at all, let me know down below. I want to see if these fit into any particular style of deck, or if these are just goofy little things to add to your cube next time you want to play something spicy. Or in this case, not very spicy, because we got to keep these things solid. Alright, next off, set off on a new adventure with Fairy Tale Friends. Is this Box of Friends stuff? It doesn't look like it. Huh. Okay. Bat the Forest. Ninja! Ninja support! Folks, Ninja support's just dropped. Level 3 Light Beast Tuner Monster, and it's a tuner. 800 attack and defense. You can only special summon this card with this card's one effect once per turn. You can only use the second effect once per turn. Number 1, you can special summon this card from your hand if there's a face-up card in a field zone. That's us! We want to have a field zone, we're ninjas! If this card is normal or special summoned and Fairy Tale Prologue Journey's Dawn is on your field or in your graveyard, you can add a light beast monster from your deck to your hand. We don't care, we're ninjas, we don't have one of those! Okay, Interesting. Wonko. Noble Light of the Forest! Noble Light Support! Wait a second. Hold on. Hold on a flat second. Level 4 Light Beast, 1100 attack, 1600 defense. You can only use this card's name as one effect once per turn. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can add a Fairy Tale Prologue Journey's Dawn from your deck to your hand. If Fairy Tale Prologue Journey's Dawn is on your field or in your graveyard, you can draw one card instead. Your opponent can only select this card as an attack target if there's a card in a field zone. And when this card is destroyed by battle, you can have the monster that destroyed it lose 500 attack. Okay, this one doesn't quite have as much synergy possibilities as our bat friend. Yeah, that's I don't have a really good joke for this. It gets our field spell, which seems pretty important. And it punches things that run it over in battle. Good for it. Lastly is Fairy Tale's Prologue Journey's Dawn, a field spell card. You can only use this card's second effect once per turn. 1. Have all battle damage each player takes. 2. If you control a light beast monster or a level 7 or 8 dragon synchro monster, you can draw a card. Very, very signers coded. Very legendary dragon coded. Third effect, once per turn during your standby phase, you can send this card from the field zone to the graveyard. Place one field spell from your hand or deck in your field zone, except Fairy Tale Prologue Journey's Dawn. It's limited to the standby phase, so you can't just play it and swap it out. This is, I feel, very much setting up, more Fairy Tales cards. It seems interesting that the Dawn one, these only work with the Dawn cards. They don't work with Fairy Tale cards in general. They only work with the prologue, but we'll see. That's probably just to theme them to the different parts of the story. Maybe we'll see different versions of Bat and Wonko later on. Maybe we will see other representatives of other archetypes that exist out there. Who knows? Interesting. Very interesting. Want to see where this goes. Can't imagine what in the heck it actually is. Okay, last one is Shark and Kaito's Journey to Victory with Galaxy support and number 37 Spider. S37 Spider Shark. Let's go. Okay, number S37 Spider Shark is a Water Sea Serpent Xyz monster, rank 5, 2600 attack, 2100 defense, requiring 3 level 5 water monsters. But you can also exceed summon this card by using a number 37 Spider Shark that you control as material. I forget if that's easy to summon or not. Actually, one second. Here we go. Yu-Gi-Oh! I can just do number 37. Hope Woven. Oh, that's true, though. This is number 37 Spider Shark, not Hope Woven Spider Shark. Is there just a Spider Shark? Wait a second. There is no number 37 Spider Shark, huh? There's Hope Woven Dragon Spider Shark. There's this guy. But there is no number 37 Spider. That might just be an oversight on the translation stuff. Maybe it's that it might actually just be number S37 Hope Woven Dragon Spider Shark. 2 level 4 monsters though, so that's not too difficult if you're on the shark stuff. Okay. Actual effects though. Once per turn. No hard once per turns on any of these. Once per turn, you can detach a material from this card, then target one monster your opponent controls. Banish that monster until your opponent's next standby phase. And if you do, and if your opponent controls a monster, all monsters they control lose 1,000 attack until the end of this turn. And during the end phase of a turn that this Xyz summon card was destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon this card. Okay. That seems a little underwhelming, honestly. It's a temp banish that debuffs their board, and then if the Xyz summoned version of this card is destroyed, we get a copy of it back, which will have no material. Sure. Number S38 Titanic Galaxy. You can also Xyz this card on top of number 38 Titanic Galaxy. That's not his full name. That's not his full. You say his full name right now. His full name is number 38, Hope Harbinger Dragon Titanic Galaxy. You fraud. You absolute fraud. This isn't even mentioning what level the light monsters have to be. Three light monsters. Pusha. You can also exceed someone in this card by using number 38, Titanic Galaxy. Okay, so 3,000 attack, 2,500 defense, gains 200 attack for each material that it has. So what, we make this any 2 level 8 monsters, slap those together. If we immediately slap another material onto it, that's 3 materials. This is looking to be a 3,600 point monster generally. Once per turn, you can target up to 2 spell and trap cards your opponent controls. The targeted cards cannot activate their effects in response to this effect activation. And attach them to this card as material. Okay. And number 3, you can detach 1 material from this card for the rest of the turn. This card's original attack becomes 1,500, and it can attack directly. So the original attack becomes 15, but if it had 3 material, we detach 1. We're doing 1,900 direct. I don't know how I feel about this one, to be honest. Number 38, Hope Harbinger Dragon Titanic Galaxy, is such an iconic monster because it sits there as a spell negate and the direct attacks to it. The S version is cool in some regards. It can get bigger. It can deal with spells and traps that have already been established on the board. That's something that Titanic Galaxy cannot do. And it has like an attack directly clause, so it can like push for game randomly. I guess this is the bonus of it being like a Chaos Xyz evolution. You can do at will. You can just sit on Hope Harbinger, and then once it becomes time to close the game out, you can use this. So that's okay. I wouldn't want to sit on this card. I want to end the game with this one. But I'm happy that we have an option to evolve from it into this, just because. And then the more we absorb bullets in its base form, the more attack power this can get from the material, right? So, okay, Kibo no Tenkei. Revelation of Hope. Normal spell card, you can only activate 1 card of this card's name per turn. First effect, send 1 face-up, a level 8 dragon monster from your field to the graveyard. To special summon a rank 8 Dragon Xyz monster from your extra deck, this is treated as a proper Xyz summon. Okay. Okay, so any rank 8... Of course, the fact that it's missing its material means something, except for Hope Harbinger Dragon, which just absorbs the spell for free. It detaches to redirect attacks, but this turns any level 8 into Titanic Galaxy Dragon. As any other rank 8 Dragon Xyz monster, which there are a fair few, I'm sure. Galaxy Journey, you can only use this card's first and second effect once per turn. Special summon one of your banished light or dark monsters. Cool. If a face-up Xyz monster you control becomes banished and this card is in your graveyard, you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target one of those monsters and special summon it. Okay, so if they become banished either by your opponent or by your own effect, you just get to bring it back while this is in the graveyard. That's pretty nifty. And then it just by itself summons one of your banished light or darks, which is... They're lights and darks. They're bound to do that a million times. Okay. The spell cards are interesting. I dig them. Revelation of Hope and Galaxy Journey could put in some work. The Spider Shark one, Titanic Galaxy one, they're fine. They're just fine. Wow, that was a lot of stuff to cover here. That can't be everything in the... Is that everything out of the promo pack? I guess we'll see if we have any future reveals later, but for now, I'm going to check the main page just in case. Okay, we're clear. Folks, thank you all so much for watching. Super appreciate it. That was a ton of stuff to cover this episode. I want to hear any of your thoughts. DDDs, Motors, Magistus, the Galaxy stuff. Are you excited for the Galaxy stuff? And what in the heck fairy tale kind of stuff do we have waiting in the wings? Any 5Ds manga enjoyers? God, I hope it's 5Ds. I hope I was right on clocking that one. Are you looking forward to what these could be? Is there any cards that you wonder, how could that get translated? That effect is broken kind of thing. I want to hear all about it because I'm super excited to see what they've got in store for us. Thank you all so much for watching, and until the next time Konami drops some juicy spoilers, I will see all of you next time. Bye-bye. Today's episode is brought to you by Dragon Shield. Get the sleeves as strong as dragon scales and get 5% off your order by using the coupon code GoldenNova at checkout. It was also brought to you by my lovely patrons, including this month's illustrious Quasar Commanders, Upstairs Media, and Natiel Lee Alexander, Nebula Navigators 3rd Dynasty, 50 Gigabytes, Ada Basilisk, Adam Zajdel, Ancient Wizard, Andrew Newman, Battle Axe, Kane Senpai, Chibi Gohan, Christopher Fuss, Clockswork, Comrade Cobblebottom, Eric, Frankie, Garland Chaos, Going It/Its for the Bit/Bits, Great Big Pillock, Hair Bear, Happy Majin, Harry the Ominous Benefactor, Iron Zero, Iskander 711, Carp, Marion James E. Picata, Millennia Asta, Muse Clark, Neon Yaminair, Orozco 09096, Panther J, Pat Poos, Rank 10 Trains, Rebel King Lucifer, Red Eyes Jackalow, RJ the Jank Monarch, The Critic of Innocence, Thievery Coast and the Wizard Moose, Cosmic Crusaders Animasta, Baron Von Titty Sprinkles, Beelzebub, Fish, Beluga Master, Blitzwolf, Caesar M, Chaz Ghost, Dr. Reaper R.I.P., Eva Padilla, Hike Boyagian, Herbal D, Ignis Heat the True Draco Slayer, Inblink, Kale the Dragon, Lobomaru 02, Manga Pages, Matt Simmons, McSpoofy, Mike, Nitromo, Not Al Gore, Nyx, Obsidian, Rainer Leong, Rhyme Kairos, Shizuki Nijimura, Sir Knight JCB, Sophie, apparently, Stephen Williamson, The Legendary Raven, The Phantom Knights of Shitted Pants, The Gene, Tiger X2476, Weasel King of Weaseltown, and Zaldreka, as well as the wonderful Starlight Explorers you see on screen now. If you'd like to help me in my journey to cover all of Yu-Gi-Oh's archetypes, get my videos early, be a part of these credits and other awesome perks, it would mean the world to me if you would check out the link to my Patreon in the description or consider joining as a YouTube member.